Known as the Master of Illusions, today we'll be exploring more of what makes the Mastermind himself, and his story so frightening, as we count down the top 10 scary Mastermind facts. Jason Wyngarde is known as one of the original members of the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. He was introduced in Marvel Comics early on in Uncanny X-Men Volume 1 Issue 4. He's a frequent enemy of the X-Men and oftentimes ally to Magneto, although he did eventually leave the Brotherhood for a while, albeit not exactly voluntarily. More on that later. If you're a Brotherhood or Mastermind fan, be sure to show some love by giving this list a thumbs up. Alright, if you're at home, dim the lights, light a spooky candle, and let's get counting. Number 10. Duplicates. When we're talking about duplicates when it comes to Mastermind, we're talking about a few things. Firstly, this is a constant fight tactic of Jason's. He often uses his illusion abilities to create duplicates of himself to trick and confuse his opponents. Imagine thousands of Masterminds. That's certainly scarier than one. But there are also just multiple Masterminds. What I mean is, there are multiple people who have taken up that evil mantle. There is the AI enemy of Captain Britain known as Mastermind, who can also project holograms and create illusions, but more notably there are Jason Wyngarde, the original Mastermind's confirmed daughters. Martinique, who goes by Mastermind as well, and Reagan, who goes by Lady Mastermind. Other than the power of numbers, another frightful thing about Jason's daughters are that they are both considered to be more powerful actually than him, or than he was. Cause he dead. Number 9. Leader of the Hellfire Club. Not in the comics, of course, unfortunately. Mastermind had trouble even getting into the Hellfire Club in truth in the comics, but more on that later. However, did you know that there was a popular British TV show in the 1960s called The Avengers? The show was different from the comics as it actually predated Marvel's Avengers team, which legally had to be called Avengers, as the Avengers was already in use by the British television series. The actor that our Jason Wyngarde was inspired by was actually Peter Wyngarde. Peter played the leader of the Hellfire Club in the series, but his most famous role was Detective Jason King from Department S and a self-titled series. Imagine if Mastermind had been the leader of the Hellfire Club in the comics too. I feel like he might have been worse than Sebastian Shaw even. There was even a character in the show named Emma who danced at the Hellfire Club, though she was a spy named Emma Peel, not a telepath named Emma Frost. Also, did you know Hellfire Club is a term for just general sort of gentlemen's clubs? I didn't know that, but I learned that today. Anytime someone would have said Hellfire Club, I'd be like, you mean like in Marvel? But no, Marvel does not own that term. There you go. Number 8. Enjoys the suffering of others. I mean, this isn't surprising to me, but it sure is terrifying how much Jason enjoys the torture and humiliation of other people. Wyngarde helped the Brotherhood and Magneto to take control of the country Santo Marco by creating a massive illusionary army, making the people of the nation believe they had no option but to surrender. When he sees that Magneto believes in harsh punishments, locking anyone who attempts to rebel in the dungeon, Mastermind exclaims how much he delights in the way Magneto does things. So, not a villain you'd want to be ensnared by then. Anyone who sides with old school Magneto on the appropriate severity of punishment is not a person you want to run into. Although I guess he could only torture you with illusions, so it's not that bad. He'd just make you think you're in the dungeon. Number 7. Wouldn't take no for an answer. So to be fair, I find this pursuit more gross than scary. Especially because it was the 60s, and this was back when we were first introduced to Wyngarde in regards to continuity. He made his first appearance in Uncanny X-Men issue 4, which is incidentally the first issue in which he started heavily hitting on Scarlet Witch, and in a very rude and demeaning fashion. Like, I know it was the 1960s, but even for the era and for comics, it was really rude. I've read some 1960s comics, and this is like going beyond that. And I believe it was definitely intended to come across that way. Scarlet Witch spurned his advances, but that didn't stop the Mastermind from continuing in his attempts to woo her. In issue 7, he offered the world to her. The illusionary world anyways. Anything that her heart desired, a life of luxury, whatever she wanted via his illusion powers. She once again refused his advances, and he once again refused to take no for an answer and started insulting Magneto and proceeded to assault Scarlet Witch. Yikes! Thankfully, Magneto came in and was just like, I want you to be blindly loyal to me, or blindly obedient, and so he put a stop to that. But also, he just coming in being crazy. Everyone be blindly obedient to me. I'm Magneto. This is original X-Men. Number 6. Turn to stone. At one point, the Stranger was invited to join the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants in a kind of random turn of events. To impress him, I guess, everyone on the team decided to show off their powers. Toad was leaping, Magneto was meddling things, and Mastermind was illusioning. The Stranger decided to respond by also doing a power flex, enraged by their display for some reason, I guess because they were kind of torturing him. Unfortunately, Mastermind got the brunt of this rage and was turned to stone by the Stranger. I guess Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch still didn't like Mastermind very much at this point because both powerful mutants kind of just let this happen. Quicksilver just actually remarks on it. He's like, oh no, he's stoned now. Like, you could have stopped that, you're really fast, Quicksilver. But don't worry, Professor Xavier was able to confirm that Wingard was in fact a stone statue, but was also still alive, using his knowledge, his abilities, and a stethoscope, because comics. And Jason would eventually return to his old self. This, by the way, is when he went on a little hiatus from the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. Which is fair, I feel like if you get turned to stone, it's a good time to maybe take a break from that. Number 5. Can make terrifying illusions. Jason's illusion creating powers allow him to create anything he wishes in illusion form. Though these hallucinations are not physical, they are so mentally believable that it would be hard for a normal human to dismiss them. It's even hard sometimes for superheroes to dismiss these. Not only does the illusion visually appear convincing, but he can also alter your sense of taste, smell, and touch as well when it comes to his illusions. When the Brotherhood of Evil ended up in a fight with the Blob and his team of carnies, Wingard used his powers to make them believe that their hammers were snakes, and that volcanoes were just erupting all around them, with lava blasting out, setting fire to them and the area. The illusion succeeded in terrifying his opponents, but Mastermind became startled when he was flanked by more carnies. The main weakness of Mastermind's illusions are that if he loses focus, they kinda just vanish. Though Scarlet Witch did imply that he couldn't put up illusions in a large enough area to startle everyone that was attacking them, when he definitely has done that before. Like in that thing with Santa Marco, he actually created like a country's wide of illusions, so I don't understand. So I really feel like Jason actually shouldn't have lost this one, but hey. Comics. Number 4. Manipulated a child. One of the seemingly kind but still evil tasks that he completed as a member in the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants was rewriting a very young Lorna Dane's memory. Using his powers, he altered her memory so that she would believe her parents died in a freak accident. Later, Longshot tried to make her believe that Magneto was actually the cause of the accident when a grown-up Laura went searching for answers. But in reality, it turned out that little Lorna was actually the cause of the plane crash that killed her parents. Her mother fighting with who she thought had been her biological father caused little Lorna to get stressed, and that led to Lorna's magnetic mutant abilities activating, which caused her to accidentally tear the plane apart. In truth, she was actually Magneto's biological daughter, but he wasn't ready for her yet, so he used Jason's powers to make her forget this. While it seems like a kindness, this revelation would later almost cause Lorna to have a psychotic break. In altering her memory, Wingard caused her a great amount of future pain. Number 3. Enslaved Jean Grey. Sort of. Mastermind wanted to join the Hellfire Club's inner circle. To prove himself, he attempted to recruit Jean Grey as their Black Queen, using his skills to manipulate her, and he appeared to succeed. What he didn't know was that this wasn't exactly Jean Grey, but was in fact the Phoenix, whom he was dealing with, which honestly is more terrifying, even if he only managed to successfully bend the Phoenix to his will temporarily. However, she managed to break his hold on her, freeing Cyclops and helping the other X-Men whom the Hellfire Club held captive to escape, before turning her deadly gaze back to her original captor, Mastermind. Number 2. Driven insane! In fact, Jason's temporary enslavement and manipulation of the Phoenix would unleash the darkness within her, causing her to become Dark Phoenix. And in revenge for his attempt to manipulate him, she shared with him awareness of all the psionic impressions in the cosmos, which drove him insane because his mind couldn't handle it. As a result, Wingard was left in a catatonic state and was admitted to a mental institute. He would spend a few years there but would never be fully the same, haunted by the temporary full awareness of the cosmos that he had experienced and the loss of it. He both wanted it back, but it also drove him crazy, so it's like, whoa. Number 1. Created the Void. In the 2005 New Avengers series, we discovered that Mastermind was actually the one behind the creation of the Void. I know, what? It turns out that he was hired to tamper with Robert Reynolds' mind, making him scared to use his powers. Basically, he made Robert believe that if he did, the devil would basically attack Earth and everything would go crazy. Hence, Robert became that devil. His personality split and he became his biggest fear, the villain that was the Void, as well as being the Sentry. In the end, this is what drove him to erase his superhero persona from everyone's mind, including his own. In issue 9 of New Avengers, we found out this whole split that Robert suffered from, all his fear, was because of Mastermind. Shocking? Yeah, I know. I love how Mastermind is just more powerful after he died in comics. We just keep learning things about him that he did when he was alive. We're like, what? He did that? That's crazy. Thank you so much for watching, Nerd Squad. I hope you enjoyed this list and learned some new fearsome facts about the old school X-Men villain Mastermind, aka Jason Wyngarde. Who is your favorite Mastermind in the comics? What illusions would you seek to create and use in a fight if you had to? Who is your favorite X-Men villain? Let us know in the comments below. Speaking of comments, it's time to turn to some comments from one of our latest videos, Top 10 Superhero Babies. I don't know why that makes me laugh. Jevin Jackson comments, when Mr. Fantastic and Invisible Woman need some alone time, does the Human Torch and Thing babysit to help out the parents? Just asking. Yes, actually they do. They do that all the time. Also, I think Valeria sometimes goes to visit her godfather Dr. Doom, and I believe that She-Hulk may have actually babysat for them before. To be honest, the Fantastic Four, or Future Foundation as they're sometimes known, are such an integral team when it comes to Marvel, with vast connections to so many supers that they likely have an impressively long list of options when it comes to babysitters. James Thomas suggests first thoughts: Franklin Richards, Harry Potter, and Hellboy. Well, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. I feel like with baby Harry, I can only imagine him crying, but other than that, I'm sure he was a cutie. I do remember his little chubby face, which is pretty adorbs. By the way, I selected babies and ranked them based on a combo of power levels and cuteness factor for that list, in case you were wondering. And that's all the time we have for comments today. Be sure to comment below for a chance to have your thoughts and your feels shouted out in a future video. This has been Top 10 Nerd, and I'm your host Amanda McKnight, reminding you to stay nerdy, YouTube.